Fan favorite Gold Pride Punk deck just continues to have localized success. Don't big 30% of you that have not smashed the ever living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. We're going to start things off here with your breakdown for Tables and Towers case tournament here with 3 Kashtira decks taking the lead. Ah, man. At this stage, what do you want me to say? I have not been surprised to see that, Kashtira has been taking over major chunks of different areas right now, because considering everything that's been happening, it's still like the most dominant force in the metagame. And unfortunately, I think we're going to continue to see that actually be a pretty decent issue in the game. We also had 2 branded Despia decks in Top Cut. Now, I'm always a little bit intrigued when we see branded Despia out here kind of doing its thing, because it depends on how ratios and things are going to kind of come together for the deck in order to showcase the best results. And at least in terms of deck building, because so many people are arguing about like little ratios and things, but either way, you'll get the chance to see how the list looked for this event. We also had Labyrinth actually coming relatively high placement in this tournament, which I'm actually very happy to see, because Labyrinth has had a lot of issues heading out of last format. It did not have a very good success rate, and to see that we did lock down a relatively big Top Cut finish here actually is good. And then we also had Gold Pride Punk bringing up the back end here. Oh wait, we also had Super Heavy. Oh, I mean, yeah, you also had Super Heavy. But Gold Pride Punk here is the reason why I turned on the camera to film this, because I really have been enjoying like the little ideas and things that people have been testing out with this deck. You can actually see the little intricate pieces and things that players are kind of bringing to the table, for these particular decks. And I do hope that we will continue to see, some of these ideas continue to flourish. All right, let's pass on over to deck list. Winning our event here was, hi Labyrinth, what are you doing here? I always love the fact that we can see Droll and Lockbird and friends actually mattering out here, showcasing that, the same constant power cards are going to be running this format. Yeah, Droll and Lockbird to slow down the opponent. I see that, of course, if you're not playing Eradicator Epidemic Virus in the deck as a one-of, I don't know what people are really thinking, because it's a free blowout against Purely. I mean, yeah, they can change, sure, but that's fine. You get everything literally out of their hand, and you just have to handle what's left, which, I mean, this deck has no issue. Another interesting little ratio here is we're main decking 2 skill drains, siding the 3rd. That's pretty interesting to me. So we have a lot of cool little tech choices showcasing here, but I think that's what makes this deck actually kind of cool, is, the little things that you can bring to the table with Labyrinth to actually make this deck successfully work, and that's actually a good thing. Next up here was Cash Money Dollar Bills, the deck. Now this build just chose to main deck shifters. We're siding the Droll, so I guess we weren't too worried about, anything really too new, trying to mess up the format, but that's fine. We're also main decking the Feather Duster, and then oddly enough, we're just main decking 2 evenly. We're not even playing Thrust to thrust into it, which I figured would be something that we would try to bring to the table, but oddly enough, I guess we're just choosing not to here. Okay, just standard defensive options with the books and the Feather Duster. I don't know, ratios for this feels very weird, especially like just the 1 Dark Roll or no more in the side deck. We've seen a lot more builds that I feel like are a lot more flushed out at this point than this. I feel like, though, for a localized case tournament, you're trying to cover as many bases as you can for this. Just doesn't feel like we were covering enough. Next up here is our Gold Pride Punk. Good stuff. This deck got 3rd place. We are main decking Droll and Lockbirds to counteract the format. Pretty standard choice here. We are actually playing 3 of the new big monster that allows you to do the fusion summon. Now, I think that's fine. We're also only playing triple better like next time, which is fine. One of the new Ultra, and then we just play 1 of the fusion. I love the fact the fusion was like such a crazy eccentric thing. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, you got to play multiple of this, but I haven't seen a single list out here that has, really opted to try to play more than that. One has been like the go-to ratio across every single list that I've seen. So that's an interesting discussion point. But outside of that, you pay your life points, go ahead and capitalize on your gold pride cards after the punk cards to go ahead and deduct you in the face for a little bit of value. It's pretty standard for what you want to see. Next up here is Mirror Jade and Friends main decking the Expulsion. I love the fact that this deck was like, oh boy, we're going to go ahead and play Nadir Servant now. Now, at this point in time, as of filming this, I have seen Nadir Servant kind of overtake the Nadir Servantless builds in terms of top cut representation across events right now. So kind of keep in mind, there still are players out here that are testing builds without the little inclusion of the package of Nadir, which is fine. It kind of comes down to, what you want to be able to play in the deck and kind of, maximize results. This build is also playing Double Blazing Cartesia. I think very early players were trying one copy of Blazing, but I think more results have kind of proven now that going towards multiples might be the best way to go. So, yeah, looks, once again, outside of those little things, that's kind of the experience for the deck. Next up is Super Heavy Samurai. This deck has become as cookie cutter to me as we've seen with Cash here at this point in time, because it's so streamlined for what you want to do. You decide, do I want to play some kaijus in the main deck? How many? What hand trap ratios I want to maximize on in order to get the best ratios? And then do I want to play Cyberstein? Yes or no? One of the more unique things about this list is we are actually side decking one summon limit here. And we're also playing one copy of Saruja. So depending on how you open up, you could probably turbo out some genuinely decent results here with the Saruja to kind of start snowballing your opponent a little bit more out of control. And once you get that general, snowball effect going, I think you'll see this deck kind of start to do some pretty big combo plays. That's why this deck is, one of the scariest decks in the modern era right now. Next up here, we have our next Branded Despia deck. Now, notice no Nadir Servant in here. Nope. No Lulu Walleth either. No point in, trying to play it. We are playing the Expulsion in here, which is, once again, pretty standard at this point in time. Players are opting more towards, that than Expulsion less, even though we've seen success with both. Don't get me wrong. The Red Eyes Dark Dragoon package also in here as a 2-of, by the way. They definitely want to make sure that this deck can combo off and do its thing, and if your opponent outs one Dark Dragoon, they're going to have to follow it up with the second. So, the more pressure that you can keep on your opponent, and the stronger, you'll be able to control things, is really what you want to see here for this deck. Also, the Double Blazing Cartesia. I'm sorry to the wallets out here that are going to have to pick up the additional copy for it, because it is really rough out here for sure. Next up here, 7th place, Cash Money Dollar Bills, the deck. Oh boy, so this build opted to play the triple Dark Willow no more. That way, in case your opponent does, standard big board, what do I do? Well, Dark Willow no more lets you kind of shut down the field so this deck can go ahead and do its thing. It's more or less one of the things that you definitely are going to be forced to give some consideration to for playing here. We did opt for Dimension Shifter in the main. No Drolls for this list. No. Didn't need them, I guess. We also have 2 Divine Carnate and then 2 Kaijus down in the side as well. You've seen a pretty decent argument for multiple levels of Kaijus in, a deck like this. It's working out. I also like the spicy little Solemn Judgment in here as well. It actually is kind of cool to see that defensive options are shining again. And, we are playing the Goliath. No Fossil in here either. I have seen the little Fossil Skull Wagon starting to see a little bit of play, but still was opt not to play it. So, okay. Next up here, we have another Kashtira deck. Now, this build opted for triple Crossout Designator. So it looks like we needed some defensive options here to kind of get things going so that, you could actually get the deck to do its thing. Hand traps aside, like, Kashtira does have some issues sometimes. It's definitely been the strongest deck in this format so far, the way it looks. So the fact that you're still kind of seeing things, snowball here for advantage is good. outside of that, I mean, that's your breakdown here for the case tournament. Am I shocked by any of this? No. Everything is relatively standard for what you'd expect. So please, leave a comment about what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.